going into the auditing space, guys. So I am on crownandlux.com. You see the sort of the growth of e-commerce in like Shopify and these platforms that allow you to have a landing page. The first thing you go to is the store, right? You use PayPal. Is there any other e-commerce option you have?
For Trinidad and Tobago and Shopify, no. Only PayPal they allow you to use. PayPal is the only thing that seems to be approved and seems to be consistently working. So I just kind of go with that.
That's going to be something that is going to be a deterrent for a lot of people. And that sort of, let me just give you my credit card and, deal with everything later. So you mentioned earlier about people want to physically see things, right? But I also want to counter that and say the easier you make things, the less that matters. In the sense that when you visually know that, the satin is like this, the quality is like this, it took you this much hours to create this, I'm more willing to give my money to you. So that's from a boutique perspective. From like Amazon, which is a mass approach, their strategy is the entire environment is so easy. The other day, I was going on Amazon to look for Apple Pencil alternative because I refused to pay Apple price. And then I saw a kettle that I had on my wish list going down by $10. And guess what happened? Like, literally did not have to take out my card, did not have to do anything. I literally just went add to cart. I was like, oh my gosh, Pauline, you're supposed to be saving for something. But it was so easy and the information was there already. I did not even have to get up to look for my card. So let's go to your social media platforms now. When it comes to your website, I am not seeing that follow through with your social media. It's not, I'm seeing the PayPal icon, but I'm not seeing your social media anywhere. So if I were to find you outside of social media, how do I then, lengthen the interaction with you and be able to have sort of a future lead generation to know that you're still top of mind when I want to know about tips on hair? And then I'm going to add on something even more, your SEO, right? So you are not necessarily going to get as high a level of visits, especially when you don't have a huge ad budget. However, you're very active on Instagram. So connect the dots with the Instagram visits on your website, and that's going to help your SEO connect the dots online. Finally, we're going to look at your cash cow, which is your Instagram, right?
Cash cow.
Well, I mean, you have to start somewhere, right? Just on the landing page, because I'm looking at it through my computer, I need to see what you sell in your highlights. Your core objective is selling your products, right? And, depending on which article you read, some people say you have 10 seconds of attention. Lately, it's 3 seconds. So within that short time frame that they're on your platform, what is it do you want them to be impacted by? Yes, you're going to have the lead generation where people follow you, which is great. But at the end of the day, the idea is for them to eventually buy something from you, right? And in order for you to be able to land that emotion and show that value, you need to see it, because your Instagram also needs to be your shop. When it comes to your price range, you mentioned earlier that you're not necessarily on the lower end spectrum. And at the end of the day, when it comes to a market, that's fine. That, the thing is to own that space. So what we need to have a conversation around is what is happening right now, right? Being a Black woman, now is the best time in any time in history to be a Black woman, because that conversation is trending. As much as, we have a lot of things to work through still, it's still a topical conversation that I feel like us Black women are still afraid to have a conversation about.
That's true. I think when you look at it in the general social media space, especially when you look at the US markets and stuff, they're a lot more open about that sort of thing. I think in the Caribbean, we're still very shy to talk about race in regards to like enterprise and business and supporting Black owned and that kind of thing. So it's a bit of a shaky ground sometimes to figure out how to, you know, how to go into it without turning off some of your audience or, you know, making it a bit uneasy almost.
There's one side of me that just goes, that's insane. We should be able to have a conversation. That's ridiculous. But then I'm also in social media and I see the comments and I see even Black women against ourselves when we talk about being Black and the issues of it. So I almost feel like you have to preempt those conversations by the content you create, and then still be able to say, as a Black woman, what about this?
For me, I have no issue talking about those things. So I really try to do it on my page, my personal Instagram, and then it would kind of feed into certain things with the business. But on the business page, I'm a little bit hesitant to share and talk about certain things because, yeah, you don't know the sensitivity to your audience, as well as, again, in the Caribbean, we are a bit strange, regardless.
That's an interesting point. Well, for those who are watching this, put your comments, sound off below, and let us know what you think. Maybe give us some guidance as to how you will feel if that conversation were to happen on her page. Let's look at your content. How often do you post?
I want to be, you know what? I'm supposed to be posting every day. That has not happened. I would say maybe once, twice a week, which is terrible. Yeah.
It really is dependent on your strategy. So it's a balance and understanding, exactly what that looks like, and then having to commit to it, because it has to be longevity. It can't just be for a couple of days. It has to be something that you do.
Yeah.
I'd say, okay, for the next 3 months, I'm going to do this, because your business, you're running a business. It's hard to do it every day. So it really is for you to have to balance what makes sense for you and the business.
Well, I would say that since I am active on social media on my own page, I don't necessarily think it's hard for me to do. It might just be more for me to do it because I love Instagram stories on my personal page. So it shouldn't be hard for me to kind of transition into that. I've been looking at a lot of the brands in the States and stuff, and they post like 3-4 times a day. And I realized, obviously, I don't have to necessarily do that, but you have to remind people you exist all the time in some way.
So my final comment, I'm actually looking at a post dated on February the 3rd. And the first comment under the post is cost, please.
Yeah, this was a cap I had for the time. It's gone now.
So is there any reason why you didn't put the cost up initially?
Actually, there was no specific reason why in this regard. Sometimes the cost to me is always interesting because people don't read. So sometimes if you put the US equivalent, the TT equivalent, you have US customers, 150 US for this. And it's just, sometimes it's very complicated. So sometimes I just tell people DM or go on the website, because when I put up the price, I have people in Trinidad and Tobago, is the prices in team like, no. And it gets a little bit complicated. So it's easier to have a conversation in the DM. But if you check the other comments, I did respond to people and say TT, whatever the case is. I guess hers just got kind of lost.
I remember I had a very controversial client years ago. Everybody thought that it was going to be the worst idea to go on Facebook. I had like multiple meetings to tell them why they needed to go. Eventually they did, and what transpired is one of the reasons why I continue to have faith in humanity. People would come in and have all these ridiculous statements, and then you just see these tribes of, because every community has its tribe, right? So you just see the tribe come in and just one by one, just like, you're talking crap. No, that's not true. And because there's that brand identity and they feel a specific way about the product, they're going to do that for you. So what you've done here, and yes, obviously you may have posted others before, but this is for those who are watching to learn as well, is we're living in a world where Amazon the price is there, right? So the transparency conversation for that particular customer who has a credit card is there already. Yes, they may not see it, but chances are somebody else is gonna come in and be like, you're not seeing the price in the description or what? But the DMS for order is actually gonna put you in a position, unless you automate it and make it into a chatbot, you're just gonna have to do additional steps that's gonna pull you away from something that will probably bring more into the business.
The DM to order though, oh boy, that is about 85% of the way people order in Trinidad and Tobago. I could have the website there, they will still go on the website and ask me about the website, or they would check back. So sometimes, especially if it's something that I know I'm selling locally only, or I only want to do a quick week sale, and I would just DM to order, because people are going to come in the DM. They're not going to go on the site.
Let's automate. Whatever you can automate, you automate, and you fill in the gaps where needed, because there are times, obviously, when you're going to have to respond, but for the most part, the platforms allow you to automate things, and automate it to the point where it makes you feel like you're talking to somebody. Because I'm sure, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, do people ask the same questions over and over again?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, when it comes to your space with e-commerce, definitely have to look at ways to automate things, because you're not just somebody who's managing a platform. You know, you're creating a product. Which, by the way, my final piece of thing is I would definitely look at behind the scenes. You know, this is the sustainable way. This is how we create this. This is our story. Because you buy from us, this is how it affects me as a business owner and my family. It's just a suggestion, because, you know, we buy into stories.